this is a special occasion. I mean, look, you and I talked a little bit a couple weeks ago, and we were kind of wondering. We talked about Minter and Weaver coming in, but I think what was in the back of our minds, Nick, was all right. Well, who's that special teams guy going
Yep.
to be? And I know that there were some names, but I think one name that I was kind of thinking about was, hey, they already have a guy on their coaching staff that I think would fit pretty well in that role. And Anthony Levine is the pick. So I wanted to give you the floor to talk about him. Q was telling stories about him and who he is. And I want to hear from you. I mean, how pumped are you that CoCap got the job here, and how pumped you did he stand with the organization in that role?
I'm super stoked for Levine. He, I played with him a couple years, right when I first got here in 20 and 21, and to me, like, he is the embodiment of what Raven special teams has been for 2 decades. It feels like here, and I couldn't be happier and more proud of a guy who's, he's his coaching journeys, albeit it was very quick to get to this point, but similar to his playing career, man. He was, undrafted practice squad guy, and then he ended up playing 11 years in the NFL and became a force on special teams. And coaching, he did a little scouting, did a little this, did a little that. Went to Tennessee, coached there, came back, and really made a huge impact for us this past season with the gunners and with the corners and safeties on punt return, and with all these young special teams players. They really bought into his personality, like how he goes about his business. They really accepted him as a coach because they trust the experience of him. Like, I remember we would be watching film, and he's like pulling up clips of him doing the same drills and the same reps in the games that he was asking the players to do. And those guys really bought in and really fought hard for him. And you could see the energy, the enthusiasm, the effort, the physicality, the mindset that these young kids, especially at gunner, and guys like Kmart and Keandre, and even Tez and Tylen, all these guys really stepped up this past season and really played excellent football. And I give a ton of credit to him. And for me personally, like, I love CoCap. I mean, that guy, he taught me so much when I first got here. I remember in 2021 when I first took over for Morgan, I was kind of like a deer in the headlights, and Levine just took me under his wing, albeit it was a very difficult journey with Levine. He is very old school, and he forced me to earn the respect. And it wasn't just because I got the job and the coaching staff or the front office was moving from Morgan Cox to me, didn't mean anything to him. And it was just like, hey man, I need you to show me, like, you played really good in your one game last season. Now you got to show up, and you got to show me this season for all 17 games. And having him at my back as the PP when I first got here, and learning from him the ins and outs of what coaches are going to try to do to affect us on punt, and like just gathering so much knowledge that I think has really helped me in my career, better myself with how I study tape, how I look at guys I'm going up against, what I think about schematically against the team that we're playing, and all these things that I learned early in my career from playing with one of the best special teams players we've ever had here in Baltimore. And for me, it's going to be an honor to play for him. Having been his teammate, I just think that he's the perfect fit for us. We do things differently here on special teams than a lot of other teams do. And, having a guy that's in-house, that knows the system like the back of his hand, he's been around here for, since 2012, 2013. Like, he knows what to expect. He knows the expectations that we have. He knows the standard that we've set, and he knows the ins and outs of what we do on punt, because it's a very unique punt style comparative to everybody else in the league. And then he just has such a good familiarity with it, that all the buy-in that we saw last season with these young kids, and we're going to have the same guys for the most part. They're still going to be young players. I mean, I'm the besides the fact that I'm 33 years old, I'm the only player on the roster right now that's going to be on the roster guaranteed next season, that has at least 4 seasons or more played in the NFL on special
Wow.
teams. Everybody else is 3, 2, or 1. And with Charlie Kolar being a free agent, and Jake being a free agent, and some of these other guys being a free agent, you got guys like Teddy Buchanan and Chandler Martin and Jay and Keandre and Kmart and Tez and Tyler. I guess Tylen. I'm not sure his contract situation, but I think he's up for free agency this year. I'm not
Yeah, he is.
100%
Yeah.
sure. And then a Darius Washington, obviously similar situation there. So we have a lot of pieces, and I think Lavine is the perfect fit to continue some of that same stuff that we did with the X's and O's of it, but also bringing in his personality into it, his experience that he had playing every position on special teams. I mean, the guy's got clips everywhere, and like it's so much different. Special teams, I had this conversation the other day with somebody. Special teams is a different type of football compared to offense and defense. You got guys who are trying and fighting for their lives to start on offense or defense. That's like the goal, right? You want to be the Roquan Smith, the Kyle Hamiltons, the Lamar Jacksons, the Derrick Henry. We have all these guys trying to get to that point, but it's a journey to get to that point. You don't just show up. Like, not everybody shows up and is Lamar Jackson. You have to earn the right to be in the NFL, and for a lot of players, that is earned through special teams. And so getting guys to buy in to wanting to dominate on special teams, bringing that enthusiasm, that effort every single day is really hard, especially with young players that are trying to learn the playbook on offense, trying to learn playbook on defense, trying to figure out how they fit in on offense or defense. You got to have a guy that lives, breathes, and loves special teams. And there's no better person to come in and take that role than Anthony Levine Sr. That guy's a stud. I cannot wait to watch him grow as a coach. I saw him at the end of his career as a player. I know the work ethic that he's going to bring, the attention to detail, the enthusiasm that he's going to bring every single day. And I think for us, I think he is a massive piece to our success, not only what he did on the field, but what he's done so far as a coach and what he will continue to do for us moving forward. So I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Now, if I'm remembering this right, Nick, I think you've told this story before on the Ryan Ripken show, where in Miami
Oh yeah.
there was a situation. Was that
I
Lavine on
can,
the bus? Was that Lavine on
yeah,
the bus? Okay. Can you tell?
yeah.
I know there were probably some explicits in there, so the family
I
friendly,
won't,
not
I
explicit
won't no
version
cuss words.
of that show, because
Yeah.
this is an incredible story, and it has to do with Lavine.
Yeah. So it goes back to how I told you a minute ago, how he made me earn his respect by what I did every single day, working, in the games, all that stuff. And we played Miami on Thursday Night Football in Miami, like week 10 or 11. It was somewhere in November. And mind you, we had already, I'd snapped the longest field goal in the history of the NFL. I had, for a game winner, I snapped another game winner. I had done some pretty good things up to that point, but I was still kind of figuring out my role. So we go down to Miami. It was my first ever short week. It was an abysmal game. We ended up getting hammered pretty good. We punted like 7 times, I think, 7 or 8 times, and Christian Wilkins rushed every single punt. And I felt like Lavine made a point that I was going to block Christian every single play. And I did. I blocked him every single play, or I attempted to block him as well as you can block one of the better interior D linemen in the entire league at that point. So I fought my tail off for 4 quarters, man. I was dragging. By the end of the game, you could just tell I was worn down. Like, that guy had physically beat me up. And it was a tough game. It was hot in Miami, and it was just a really tough game, but I battled and I did everything I could, and I didn't give up any plays. I didn't block any punts. I did my job on every single play, and I'll never forget this. And Lavine cracked up when I told him this story this past year when we were just kind of reminiscing on some memories. We had the bus ride back to the airport from the stadium. It's all quiet. Everybody's watching the tape, trying to figure out what they can do better next week and all that stuff. And we're getting on the plane, and our plane is based on seniority. So the older guys sit towards the front, and then the younger guys sit towards the back. So Vine's up in the front. I got to walk through to get past to go by my seat. So I'm like dragging, getting up the stairs with my suitcase and like moseying my way through the thing. You can just tell I'm like ready to sit down and take a nap. And I got my headphones in, not looking at anybody. And Lavine just grabs me on the shoulder. It was my right shoulder. Grabs me on the shoulder. He stops me. He does like this. He's like telling me to pull my headphones out. And in short, he said, You earned my respect tonight, Rook. At this time, I was 27 years old. I was about to be 28. I might have been 28 years old. I can't. Yeah, I was 28, got to be
Wow.
29. And he was like, "You got my respect tonight. You fought your tail off." And then from that moment on, because I saw him with Morgan Cox the year before and their relationship as PP and long snapper, so I knew how he was. And like from that moment on, he trusted me. He knew that I could handle everything that he could throw at me. And so from that moment on, it was just a different, that entire season was different for me. Our relationship grew immensely from there to now. And I feel like he has so much respect and trust in me, having put me through some difficult situations early in my career to kind of battle test me to see what I'm made of. Knowing that I'm in a tough situation going up against a guy like Christian Wilkins and other dudes that I fought that season, but him at my back, like it felt so much sweeter for me to like finally get to that point where Lavine was like, "You're my guy. You did a heck of a job. You know, I'm proud of the work that you've put in. I know it was hard and I know I put you through it, but it just our relationship I feel like is stronger because he made me fight for it. He didn't just give it to me like, "Oh, I'm the PP and now we have to be friends." Like that's not the case. This is NFL, man. That guy was in his 12th year in the National Football League. He had been with Suggs and Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and those guys. That old school mentality. He's got that same approach. He's very old school like those guys are. They made him earn it and he made up me earn it. And I just have so much respect for him because at the time it was hard, but because he put me through it, how we are now, I'm like, I wouldn't have done it any other way. And I respect him for doing that and making me earn the right to be there. And I've never taken it for granted. Like I still think about that. Like it's a vivid memory for me that every single week I got to go out and do the same thing. And it's not like I'm trying to prove him, a right or anything like that, but it's just in the back of my mind, like I got to earn the respect every single week. And he made me do it for 10 weeks before he gave me my flowers. And, you know, I think that has propelled me my entire career.
That's awesome. There's nothing better than getting that validation from another guy that you're looking at and you're trying to figure out, the league. I think a lot of times fans just think, oh, they're just a bunch of talented guys. It's football, you just run around. But as much as there's art to it, there's a lot of science to it. There's a lot of details that you're trying to, bring on for your own self, figure out your own game. And for you to share that story shows that, yeah, there are guys like an Anthony Levine that is always ever present. And
Hmm.
I think that, in short, helps make him the right fit for what Jesse is trying to do because it sounds like from the press conference up into all the different guys that, he has brought on his staff, it's about that relationship. And then when you talk to former players that were coached underneath him or coached underneath different coaches that are on that staff, similar to what you're saying, there's that back and forth camaraderie. It's not just like me, coach, you do what I say, but it's like that
Hmm.
that bonding relationship. And when things get hard, when things get tough, you show up because you know that your coach got your back and has prepared you for that moment.
Yeah. And as you know, in this league, it's not a matter of if it's going to get hard, it's when it's going to get hard.
Mm.
And having a guy like him, it's special for us. I think it's special for him. He's worked his entire life to get here. He deserves everything that he's getting. And I couldn't be happier and more proud to be a part of this unit as the veteran guy, having his back and him having my back and just knowing the stuff that we went through and understanding his philosophy and what he's trying to get done. I think it will help a lot with relaying the message. And I think a lot of guys saw it last season with how much work he put in with these rookies and these first year players and second year players. I mean, every single day he's out there with them. He's got his cleats on. He's running ladder drills with them. He's doing the DB drills. He's doing all this stuff with these guys in the mud with them, showing them the right ways to do things. I just think that speaks to his character and what he's going to bring to us because can't nobody look at Anthony Levine and say, "You don't know what you're talking about. You've never done this." because that is not the case. That guy made his living for him and his family off special teams, and he's continuing to do that. He walked the walk and talked the talk, and I cannot wait to see what he's able to do in this position, because I think he's the perfect fit for us. And I wanted him, selfishly, I wanted him for a lot of reasons, but I just felt like there was no better fit for our system who embodies what Ravens special teams is other than Anthony Levine.